Qatar is reportedly giving President Donald Trump a luxury Boeing 747 worth around $400 million, and some people are comparing this gift to the Statue of Liberty. We're covering that in this week's segment of What Are We Doing? Alright, let's talk about what we're calling a gift. Qatar, a country that Donald Trump publicly labeled a state sponsor of terrorism during his first term, is now giving him a $400 million Boeing 747. And somehow, in the time between calling them terrorists and accepting a flying palace, Qatar magically stopped being dangerous and started being generous. So either they changed everything or Trump just invented a new definition for donor. So now we know how much it costs to stop being a terrorist nation. The plane's not a gift, that's a bribe with a boarding pass. I mean, if that's how easy it is, someone should tell North Korea. And this plane isn't just for show, it's being considered as a temporary Air Force One. And after that, it might be donated to Trump's presidential library, which, if we're being honest, is just gonna be a hangar with a merch table. Meanwhile, Trump is still flying on the current Air Force One, and the actual new one is still under construction. So now we've got 4 Air Force Ones. The 2 current planes, the new one being built by Boeing, and the one being gifted to him. Man's building a fleet and still can't fly above 39% approval. You'd basically have to tear the gift plane down to the studs and rebuild it to meet all the survivability, security, and communications requirements of Air Force One. It's a massive undertaking and an unfunded one at that. Government efficiency who? The plane isn't free. The cost of the retrofit is in the hundreds of millions of dollars. So we didn't buy a plane, we bought a fixer-upper with foreign spyware. Now, who's the genius that said this was all legal? Pam Bondi, that's right, the U.S. Attorney General, and conveniently, also a former lobbyist for Qatar. So when this gift raised eyebrows, Pam stepped in and said, no, it's totally legal because it's not going to Trump directly, it's being registered through the Department of Defense. If that's legal, I got a few things I'd like to register through my cousin Kwame real quick. Also, quick reminder, the emoluments clause still exists. Still says presidents can't accept gifts from foreign governments. Doesn't matter if it's a watch, a painting, or a 747 with gold seatbelts. If it rolls, flies, or spies, it's still unconstitutional. You don't get to violate the Constitution just because you wrote DOD in the memo line. That's like saying, I didn't give him a suitcase of cash. I gave the suitcase to his assistant who gave him a suitcase of cash. So basically, the political version of laundering with a smile. And this is exactly why Democrats have now suspended all Trump administration appointments, because of Pam Bondi. Because she's out here co-signing foreign military gifts. So now every appointee has to be vetted like they're applying for a nuclear launch code, which makes sense considering one of them just approved a potential flying surveillance hub for a foreign monarchy. We used to vet people for communism. Now it's, have you accepted any jets from hostile governments this week? Because let's be clear, this isn't just a jet. This is a spy satellite with drink service. It's going to go everywhere Trump goes, over bases, missile silos, restricted airspace, and we're supposed to believe Qatar's not going to listen in? Come on! That plane probably came with a USB drive labeled, literally not hacking you. Look, if you let your enemy install the sound system, don't be surprised when they start DJing your secrets. Please stop comparing this plane to the Statue of Liberty. Just stop. Can I get close to the plane? No. Can I ride the plane? No. Could the president ride the Statue of Liberty? Also, no, because it's not a toy for him. It's not a bribe. It's a monument. The Statue of Liberty is a gift to the people. The plane is a gift to a person. One stands still and says, come in. The other moves in silence and says, stay out. You can visit Lady Liberty, you can climb inside her, you can read the poem at her feet, but you can't even park near that jet without a background check, a loyalty pledge, and a golf cart escort from Eric. So no, they're not the same. One's a national treasure, the other's a frequent flyer violation. Matter of fact, do you know what we did with Lady Liberty? We stuck her in the harbor. We never even let her on land. 138 years, still waiting on the beach like an immigrant with no paperwork. Lady Liberty has been stuck in border processing since 1886, and even she didn't need to be stripped for surveillance equipment. This plane gets a runway, clearance code, and a flight plan over every nuclear site in this country. Wild how freedom has to tread water, but corruption gets a flight crew, a minibar, and a diplomatic immunity. What are we doing? So let's stop pretending this is diplomacy. If Qatar was a terrorist state then, and they bought their way onto our airfields now, stop calling it foreign policy and start calling it what it is. A deal made with the nation we once feared, now flying into American airspace like it's theirs. Honestly, if this keeps up, the next State of the Union is going to be broadcast on Al Jazeera. And if we're really going to let a plane funded by a state once linked to terror fly around New York, D.C., and everywhere else with full access, then let's be honest about what we're inviting. Because the last time a group with terror ties flew into Manhattan without questions, we spent the next 2 decades at war. This isn't a gesture. This is a security breach at 30,000 feet. But sure, this time they'll wave from the window and respect our boundaries. What are we doing? Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. It helps more than you know. See you next week. Bye.